So it's a marketplace of portfolios from professional asset managers that regular investors can get access to and basically copy their trades.
This is the Money Seed Podcast, where we discuss all things investing, plain and simple, the way it should be. Please remember, this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice. Welcome back to the Money Seed Podcast. Today, my guest is Jeff Roth. Jeff is the co-founder of Echotrade, and Echotrade is helping bring professional wealth management to the masses. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Jeff, tell us, what is Echotrade?
So Echotrade, like you mentioned, we're trying to kind of bridge the gap and bring wealth management to the masses. So it's a marketplace of portfolios from professional asset managers that regular investors can get access to and basically copy their trades. That's the bare bones of it. Kind of when you get a little bit deeper, is what we're trying to do is kind of really bridge the gap, between Wall Street and Main Street. The people that we've partnered with, the asset managers and investors that we've partnered with, they're the advisors and managers that you typically would need, $500,000 to invest with them, because they have regulatory oversight, they have, operational overhead. And so if they're charging, a percent of your assets, give or take, it doesn't pencil out for them to be working with quote unquote smaller investors, guys with 10, 20, 50, $100,000. They're looking for high net worth investors or institutional investors with $500,000, $1 million or more, where it's a scalable business for them. So that's kind of been the lay of the land for decades now, or the entire history of this type of an option. And so, but that leaves limited options for the regular investor, right? And so that's what we built Echotrade for, is to kind of, allow the same access to expert investors and asset managers and portfolios that the wealthy and institutional investors get. But now your regular guy with, a couple $1,000 just starting out can invest in the same types of portfolios that the wealthy trust to build and grow their wealth.
How do you bridge the gap, right? So if a regular investor who doesn't have $500,000 or $1 million to invest, they approach Echotrade, maybe they open an account, they sign up as a member. How does Echotrade bridge that gap?
So it's basically what you're getting access to is the investment portfolios provided by the asset managers. So they're not going to be, actually managing your capital in the traditional sense, where you have all of the regulatory oversight on their end and all of the liability that they would incur if that were the case. So this is a way to kind of get around that, where it's almost like an actionable newsletter, where you're able to peek behind the curtain of what the asset manager is doing in their own account. Because we basically went to them and said, hey, some of them have portfolios that they're offering to their wealthy, investors, and they can, kind of put a concentrated version of that within Echo, or say, hey, what if you had only $5,000? What if you only had $10,000? What would you do? Like, what would you do if you were me? If you were, I'm 40, but if you're 30 or you're 40 or whatever, you're just starting out, you only have a couple grand, 10, 20 grand to start out. What would you do if you were me? And they built those portfolios. And so I, as the investor now, am able to kind of peek behind the curtain, see what they're doing in their portfolio, see their positions, see how many shares they bought for each position, and then just copy that into my own portfolio. But I'm not receiving like personalized advice from the advisor, where that's going to look more like an advisor type of relationship, which causes regulatory oversight and liability, and makes it so it's not scalable for the asset manager, which is why they haven't been able to offer these types of, these portfolios and their expertise to the regular investor per se. And we talk to these guys a lot, and I have really close relationships with all of our partners. And, they talk about how, some of the guys that aren't working with us, they kind of like that boutique and that kind of bougie image, but most of the people that we're working with, they want to give broader access. They don't necessarily like the idea, for instance, one of our guys said he was talking to his daughter, and, do I really like going to work and making rich guys get richer? Right. So they like a job, but they want to be able to kind of help regular people out as well, kind of, build and grow their wealth and be on a better path to retirement. And so this enables them to do that by the way that we have modeled the Echotrade platform.
I wouldn't be investing money with you per se. What you would do is you would give me the updates that you would get from these professional wealth managers saying, look, today I'm investing in this ETF, or I'm investing in this asset class or this stock, I would then copy that trade in my own personal brokerage account on my own. Is that correct?
Exactly. So traditionally, you're going to, hand their money off to the asset manager. You're going to cut a $500,000 check, and then that's either going to be pooled in a fund, or they're going to be managing that and have discretion over your account. And so they're the ones going in and making the trades in most cases. Or in a mutual fund, for instance, everything's pooled, and so you're just investing into that fund. And it's very black box. I don't know what's happening in the fund until I get maybe a quarterly report. So it's very just, hey, I trust what they're doing, and then we'll see what happens. With Echotrade, I maintain full control over my account as the investor, as a subscriber, and I'm just able to see, once I subscribe to a certain portfolio, what positions they have and what weights. And then I can just, with the click, I can link an account, and with the click of a button, I can then, as Echotrade, we will send those trades off to your brokerage. And then, so you're just copying the portfolio with a click of a button. And then if new positions come up, if the manager rebalances their account, or if, they place a new trade, they add, more shares to a position in Amazon, for instance, I'll receive a notification. And then once again, if I have an account linked, a brokerage account linked, I can just click a button, okay, Gabe just bought 5 more shares of Amazon. Would you like to do that too? Yes. And then, maybe it's 2 shares for me, maybe it's 10 shares. And I'll send that, and Echotrade will send that trade off to the brokerage. So it simplifies everything down to the click of a button. I don't have to become an expert investor myself. I don't have to listen to talking heads on TV. I don't have to worry about, okay, the banking crisis, what's happening there, or the pandemic is coming back, and make a decision on, do I need to adjust my positions, or what should I be buying or selling? I'm relying on the experts to do this. Okay. And I see the positions come in, I make a click of a button, and I'm done. And on top of that, I'm receiving commentary in real time from the asset managers on why they're making those decisions. So, and it's not, 10-page diatribes. It's a couple paragraphs on, this is what we saw with Silicon Valley Bank as an example. These are the adjustments that we made with our, with our financials holdings, as an example.
And Jeff, how often do you typically get these alerts from these managers?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's dependent on the portfolio. So what we are not is, we are not a day trading platform. So we can kind of go into it. We actually operated in futures, and we had, very short-term traders, a lot of day traders in and out of positions. And we saw what happened there. I mean, the reality is the vast majority of day traders fail. So on the equity side, which is what we're launching right now, this is much more of a retirement portfolio platform. That being said, within that range, it's a broad spectrum on what is kind of a more more activity, more trades versus one. So some might have an annual turnover of only 5 or 10%. You're only getting in a couple trades a year, but most are probably trading a few times a quarter, and then the more active ones are trading a couple times a month probably.
And what would you describe as a typical retirement account that you just mentioned there, a retirement portfolio? What does that look like?
Well, I mean, I guess I use that just in reaction to how we operated in futures, where you have these day trading portfolios, right? So where you're trading 1 or 2 positions, and you're just in and out, within the day. And so those are, I mean, hey, there's a handful of guys that are successful with that. I'm not going to knock them, but we saw those people in futures, guys that literally wrote the book. If you're going to get in your commodities licensing, we had people that were leaders on our platform that wrote those books, and we saw their portfolios, and they opened up multiple strategies, and they went down, significantly and regularly, almost like a ladder going the wrong direction. And so with this, we are working with asset managers that are, again, working with high net worth individuals for their retirement portfolios. So it's a longer term is kind of the main focus of what we're talking about when I say retirement portfolios. Because a retirement portfolio can mean many different things. Some of our portfolios are very concentrated small cap portfolios. And you might want to diversify into a couple of strategies if you're investing in that one. Others are more balanced, 60-40 type portfolios with some fixed income exposure and equities as well.
When somebody joins your platform and becomes a client, do they have a good selection of high risk versus low risk, aggressive versus passive? And what kind of options do people have to tailor their portfolios and their investments to suit their own needs?
Yeah, there's a variety of portfolios on the platform right now. So you have income generating portfolios, dividend focused portfolios, international, emerging, market portfolios, some just, large cap US portfolios. So we try to make sure that there's a nice variety. I mean, I think there's 30 plus portfolios and strategies that are available on the platform right now, and several of them are outperforming the market over the last 6 to 12 months through these tough market cycle. And so we'll be expanding on that as well. There'll be new portfolios available, and there'll be new options in terms of how they can kind of investors can filter and find what's right for them. At the end of the day, this is all about getting that access and about investors that they're searching for a solution. I talk to friends of my own friends, my younger brother's friends. Again, I'm 41, and so we're in that age range of looking towards retirement, building your portfolios for college savings, et cetera. And guys that I know, they kind of never really knew exactly what we did before we really kind of put this out there and launched. And they're like, "Oh man, this is fantastic. I trade a little bit, and I invest, but I don't really know what I'm doing." I would to be able to get access and copy somebody that does this for a living. My partner Dan Paney and I, who founded the company, we always joke that you don't go to, you don't perform surgery on yourself, or you don't go and if you have a massive plumbing problem, you're probably not going to do it yourself. You might YouTube a little bit, and then you're going to call a plumber. We joke that you're not going to just throw everything off of the kitchen table and take your shirt off and ask your wife for a scalpel and perform, open heart surgery on yourself. Why are we doing that with our own, portfolios? Our financial health is the second most important thing to our physical health, but we are the people that are, managing our own money when we're not financial professionals, most of us. So, we're taking a final for a class that we don't even go to class for. Right. So let's just copy the experts and let them, rely on them, and we can go about our day and our day jobs and dealing with our families.
So Jeff, how much does it cost to get into this expert knowledge or to access this expert knowledge that you provide?
No, good question. And so that's kind of the whole point of what we're trying to do is typically you're going to need $500,000 of investable assets, not even net worth. But with us, there's no barrier of entry. Anybody can come on to Echotrade and copy these portfolios. So it runs from, I think, as low as $10 a month to access some of the portfolios on our platform. And I think the average strategy subscription fee is $20 a month. And it's all flat subscription fee. We're not charging on a percentage of assets. It's so you're not going to be paying more as your account grows. It's a flat subscription fee that opens up the doors to expert advice and these asset managers and wealth management that have been closed for decades.
And I think that's a super important distinction there, is that you don't charge based on the size of the portfolio. It's just a flat fee.
Exactly.
Right? Which is huge, right? Because some of these managers will take 1%, sometimes 2% of your portfolio every single year. Whereas, a $20 flat fee per month, right? That can be a fraction of that if your portfolio starts growing.
Yeah, it's really there's a little bit of a push within the industry to change, to more of a subscription-based pricing. But the vast majority of people, like you said, they're operating on an assets under management basis, and it can become extremely expensive as those dollar amounts go up. So this is a change in how things are operating. And most of our guys are all about it. And it's a scalable way for them to service a new side of the market, and it's a way to keep the fees low. So let your assets grow without kind of getting inundated and overwhelmed by fees.
Tell me a little bit more about the company and its history. When was it founded, and how are you doing so far?
Yeah, we're doing great. So it's a long story. I'll try to kind of give you the Cliff Notes version of it. But my business partner, like I said, Dan Pena, he initially founded the company. It's a pretty interesting story. So he began trading himself when he was deployed in the Second Iraq War, and so he was in the Navy and in the Persian Gulf. And when he wasn't kind of boarding ships as kind of a pirate for the U.S. almost, making sure they didn't have WMDs. Then he got into trading with him and a couple of his buddies. And so when he got back and went to school at USD, he was trading some of his professors' monies as well, just to kind of pay for the top ramen, as he likes to say, and had this idea, kind of the inception of the idea for Echotrade while he was in school. and entered some business plan competitions and won several of those, went to national competitions and did very well. But didn't take it all the way, to kind of starting a company out of it. And then, went to work for Wells Fargo and kind of saw some of the fraud that was going on there. And a few other positions as well. And then decided to quit when I think he was 6 months, him and his wife were 6 months pregnant with their first son, and decided to quit and go full force with this. And so we've pivoted a handful of times. We operated in Forex initially, and then in futures, like I had mentioned, and worked with great partners like RJ O'Brien and Phillip Capital and CQG, CQG kind of is like the pipes for the futures industry and connects all the brokerages and FCMs and IBs. And so COVID kind of hit us a little bit difficult on that. Well, hit them more than us. And so we pivoted to a full focus on equities. Equities was always a long-term vision for us. It's just a much better playing field, and it fits what we're trying to do much better. And I kind of touched on a little bit with the shorter-term nature of the futures market and a leveraged asset class in and of itself. So we're just launching this now. We've partnered with a brokerage by the name of Tradier. They were started by the people behind Trade King before they sold to Ally. And they're a commission-free brokerage, and so that's where if you have an account with Echotrade that you want to link up, you would just get an account with Tradier, and then just with a click of a button, you can link it up to us. And so we're launching this right now, and we've got some other great partners, like I mentioned, in terms of our asset manager advisor partners. So I think collectively they manage about $20 billion of high net worth and institutional capital right now. And so you're literally getting, access to the people that manage billions of dollars in assets.
And Jeff, Echotrade has been featured, I believe, on Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, et cetera. What has the response been from the industry? It's
been overwhelmingly positive, and it's a lot of our asset managers. They're on Bloomberg and Yahoo Finance, and so for instance, they're on CNBC on a regular basis. And so when those shows and those articles and those journalists are looking for quotes about the market, about the banking crisis, about inflation, about earnings report season, they're going to call up the guys that are on our platform. So it's you're literally talking about the most credible investors in the world that have partnered with us. So we're super excited about it. And it was actually interesting, a year ago when we transitioned to the equity side and we started reaching out to these guys. And again, they're inundated with phone calls from technology companies because it's such a massive industry and there's so much capital involved and so much money. There's all this software to help them, and it was great because it was really affirming for us to kind of come into this side of the market and see the response that came from these guys that run the industry that manage billions of dollars in assets, and they're saying, listen, I get 100 phone calls like this a week. And this is the first one in 5 years that I'm actually interested in kind of what you guys are doing. You guys are really changing something. There's so much regulation in this environment that it's really difficult to make something new and different and to change the way things are operating. And this is what we're hearing on a daily basis from our partners and from our new investors, that it's a massive change and one that they all welcome. Even some of the asset managers that didn't want to participate, which most that we talked to did. They even commended and they loved the idea and the concept. It just wasn't, their portfolio didn't fit for whatever reason. Like, they might have like 300 names in the portfolio and you literally need $250,000 to trade the portfolio. So it's just not going to fit with what we're trying to do and who we're trying to support.
I guess right now you mentioned that you guys are teaming up with Tradier and that you guys have this interface with Tradier where someone can go on and just press a button and with one click, the portfolio was copied onto someone's personal Tradier account. Are you guys getting similar integrations with other brokerage firms?
We're not focused on it in the immediate future. Tradier's been a fantastic partner for us. So it's something that we're not opposed to per se. So we'll just see how things play out with launching this. But no, we've talked to Schwab and Fidelity and E-Trade and a lot of these guys. And so I think it's something that may come down the pike. It's just not something in the immediate future, but it would be probably nice for them from the standpoint of just ease of access. But at the end of the day, I think we've talked about this internally that It's a little bit different than it might have been 20 years ago when a brand name like a Schwab or a Fidelity really kind of meant something with kind of, younger investors or any investor to kind of put their money in there, have that trust. With the, the Robinhoods of the world, the public.coms or Webull, where that have shown massive success with the millennial market. I don't know if it's necessarily name recognition. It's just an ease of use. And if the platform is what they're looking for, then I think, it's so easy to set up an account nowadays. I don't think that's a barrier of entry per se, but we'll see what the users come back with, and if they're clamoring for us to have further integrations with a Schwab or a Fidelity or a Robinhood, then we'll look at those.
But Jeff, I love the idea of bringing professional wealth management to the masses at what I think is a very affordable cost. I think it's a fantastic idea. Where can people reach out to you to learn more?
Yeah, just go to our website. It's echotrading.com, ECHO trading. And they can go see some of the managers that are available right there. They can register for the platform for free and go look at the marketplace of portfolio managers. And then the other side of it as well, even if they didn't want to subscribe to a strategy today, we do have a dashboard, which is, kind of like a wall on Facebook or LinkedIn. And so this is where the asset managers are actually giving commentary in real time on the market. So even if, and I kind of look at that as something that's going to probably attract a lot of people, even if they're not looking to subscribe or to a strategy immediately, because you're getting real-time market commentary directly from the expert asset managers that are managing, billions of dollars, and you're not having to go to multiple places to find out what they're saying. It's pared down commentary, like I mentioned before. We're not, they might link out to a newsletter that has, kind of a longer, kind of analysis on what may be going on, but you can get a really quick snapshot of, 20 different asset managers' opinion on the banking crisis and earnings season and inflation and Ukraine and how they're looking at that and what their outlook is in just a few minutes on looking through our dashboard. And so I think that's something that people would definitely should register for, just to look at it in and of itself, even if they're not going to subscribe to a strategy.
And Jeff, I think the last time I went on your website, you were offering a 7-day free trial. Is that still the case?
Yeah, no, there's a 1 month free trial. And I think that might be going away pretty soon, actually. So you're always testing different things out. So if somebody wanted to jump on for that free trial, I would look to jump on there relatively quickly in the next 30 days or so. But yeah, there's a 1 month free trial. So for anybody can go on there and subscribe to a portfolio for 1 month free.
Again, I love the idea, especially since a lot of like mainstream wealth advisors and these mutual fund companies, they take, like I said, a 1% to 2% annual fee. I think this is a fantastic alternative where you're probably getting the same, if not better level of service for a fraction of the cost long term. So I think the value proposition is definitely there. It's definitely very strong. And kudos to you guys for starting the company. And I wish you guys the best of luck.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. Really appreciate it. We're excited to roll this out and start to help people on their path to retirement.
Awesome. Thanks for your time today, Jeff.
Thanks so much, Gabe. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Money Seed Podcast. Please remember to click like and subscribe. It really helps spread the message to other investors, and it helps attract new viewers to the show. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much.